Hi, I'm Justin.
Also, I hate the way my voice sounds, so if you can do whatever Photoshop does to voices, make me sound awesome.
And this is my lovely friend,
The beauty in the eyes of the beholder, and it's just about getting into the seat of being the beholder.
Hayley.
I don't think you have to be particularly perceptive. I just think you have to look up.
This podcast is mostly just her telling me stories.
If you expose yourself to the possibility that this might be really awkward, there can be something just really cool on the other side of it.
She thinks that her life and way of looking at things are
Oh, I was kind of waiting on you. I thought you were getting your stuff ready. You're waiting on me?
pretty normal.
You got to edit out all the misinformation about the Amish.
Maybe you can relate.
I would like a chance to re-sing the Amish Paradise.
If you want lighthearted stories
All right, you want to talk about goats?
and stream of consciousness,
I just woke up and needed some friends, and so I bought them.
then you're gonna like the Sunny Side Up podcast.
Sunny side up, sunny side up, sunny side up, sunny side up.
So, if you're at all like me, you may feel that you're living in a world that can be a bit overwhelming and confusing at times. I'm also a huge fan of podcasts, documentaries, docudramas, stories, and of just information in general. Between all of that and the social media and news, sometimes our brains can feel like they're on overload. Hayley and I hope that this podcast can be something of an antidote to all of that. Like little jello shots of joy and distraction. None of it is too serious or really too informative. Mostly it's just two friends who have conversational chemistry talking about whatever enters the minds of relatively ADHD people. We hope you enjoy.
Which is a thought that we should all keep in mind.
Thinking about,
in my biopic, who is playing me?
Right.
Do I get any decision over this? Do you have a preference for who would play the movie version of your life?
It used to be, oh my gosh, his name is escaping my mind right now. Comedic actor from Chicago as well, Vince Vaughn. Vince Vaughn used to be my guy. Yeah. And there's been moments in my life where there was enough vague similarities in the way we looked.
That's a good choice, yeah.
Right. So I was like, okay, Vince Vaughn. I'm not sure that, because you got to tell my story, obviously starting from pretty young. So I don't know that he's the right choice anymore. But anyways, he's the only one that's ever come up as like, ooh, he could do it. He's a Chicago taller guy. I think he's probably taller than I am.
No, you've actually chosen a likeness.
I was like, well, an actor that sort of looked like me.
He could be funny, but also dramatic if need be.
Right, dramatic and funny. Yeah, all the stuff. So yeah, that's as close as I've come. Like, who's your top choice?
No idea. Okay. I don't know.
I like her.
I've been told that I look like certain people in certain capacities, but I don't. If I get to choose who portrays me in the movie, I'm not going with who looks like me. I'm going with who I want to look like, who I wish would channel.
I would.
If people
Ryan Reynolds.
Right, that'd be so
man.
great.
Yeah.
Like, hey everybody, yes, this is me.
Yeah,
this
right.
this is my persona.
Yeah.
That's what we would
Yeah,
choose.
okay, so that's much better. Yeah, I was going too practical. So Ryan Reynolds for me. So who for you?
That's a good choice. I don't know. I'll put some thought into it. I asked a question I wasn't prepared to answer.
I wasn't. If I
like
thought
Jimmy
further on it-
Stewart, is Jimmy Stewart available? We could use some of that AI generated technology
Come on,
or the
Jimmy.
holograms that they used to
Yeah.
have Michael Jackson concerts after he passed.
Totally.
Bring back Jimmy Stewart and
Bring
let him
back-
play me.
The most confusing biopic ever.
I just really like him. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. Although,
I need to watch that movie.
for the first time this year, I thought about the It's a Wonderful Life from an objective point of view, and I was like, what the heck? Why are we watching this every Christmas? Because there's no justice in that movie for George Bailey. All the man wanted was a chance to leave town and travel a little bit, and instead the angels come and are like, just be happy with what you got, George Bailey. And we're like, yes, it's what a wonderful life, and we're so excited about it. No, George Bailey was not asking for too much, and nobody heard him.
Nobody heard him.
At the end, they all showed up and dumped money out on the table to save the business that was keeping him stuck in town in the first place.
See, I don't
Free
remember the
George
movie
Bailey.
anymore. Right, I know. Free George Bailey. I have no comment on it because I was too young. Well, I think my mom, it was great when we were little teenage kids. We went from no TV in the house, and at 14 years old is when we first started having a TV in the house. And we would go to the library and rent like movies.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And I do remember It's a Wonderful Life was in there somewhere, but I think I watched it like 14 and 15 once. And now I've never watched it again. So it's been
it comes
like
on every
decades.
Christmas so many times at Christmas time.
We don't do regular channels on like you weirdos who like have an actual TV channel.
Okay.
Like we're streaming only. Hello.
You
But
don't-
it's on one of the streaming channels. I'm sure it's on like Netflix or
yeah,
something.
I doubt I'm going to seek it out, especially not now that I've considered that nobody was really caring about what are George's needs here.
Right.
But I would.
You know what movie for me, I know this is going a slightly different direction, but you know what movie for me did not hold up at all was when I first watched Dirty Dancing as a teenage boy. I just remember like I was enraptured and like the don't put baby in a corner when she leaps up and Swayze's on, like hands over head. I just remember like this is I just thought it was great. Dude, I went back and watched that. I tried to watch it like maybe in the last decade. I was horrified. Like I was literally, my skin crawled the whole time.
You want to put baby in a corner now?
No, yeah, leave baby in the corner if you're a creepy old man. Patrick Swayze looks like he's 122 years old picking on like a 12-year-old. It's gross, dude. And maybe I'm just like, I don't know. I literally, it skeeved me out. I turned it off. I was like, this is gross. He looked so old, and she looked essentially like barely, maybe prepubescent. I mean, she did not look like a woman. No offense. I mean, maybe
Right.
she is. I don't want to everybody like all hail to the small boobies and whatever. Like maybe she was fully grown. I don't know, but she looked really, really young, and he looked really grizzled. And I was like, this is disgusting. I turned it off. I was like, oh, gross.
I only watched it as an adult, and I don't think I watched the whole thing because I didn't think it was that good.
No,
and so,
it's not that great.
So maybe it was you had to appreciate it at that time. As many 80s and 90s movies, I'm like, ooh, shouldn't have rewatched. Should have left it in the vault because they're magical then, but they don't age well.
No.
And honestly, it's not just the 80s and 90s stuff because I've rewatched shows and movies that I loved Gilmore Girls. It was my background TV show for the longest time. Like, I loved it. And then went back to rewatch it in the past year or two. And I'm like, oh, these are some toxic characters.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah. Like, why was I rooting for how did they get the protagonist role in this? Because they are really, really toxic. And we wouldn't root for that now.
Right.
But at the time, we're like, yeah, great. Can't wait to see this work out for them. Or it's just, why? Even Gone with the Wind. I remember your sister-in-law came and stayed with me, maybe 10 years ago, and it's an investment of time to watch Gone with the Wind. It's like 6 hours.
No, it's not. Is it really?
Oh, it's crazy long. I don't even remember the runtime, but yes, it's longer than the Eras Tour.
I have to ask.
There's an intermission in the movie.
Okay, Google. How long is
the
movie
Gone with
the Wind? Oh, can you believe that?
She's answering on the other.
Answering on the other one. How long is the movie Gone with the Wind?
The running time of Gone with the Wind is 3 hours and 42 minutes.
Okay. Heavy, but not 6 hours.
Yeah,
Just it
feels
felt like 6 hours. Yeah. Well, in those old movies, that would feel like, 3 hours. It's like a currency update, they're like, in the 1920s, 10,000.
This is what it was worth. Okay,
3 hours,
3 hours then would be 6 hours
6 hours now.
It was very long, and whenever you watch it, not a redeemable character in the show. But
really?
But yeah, Scarlett O'Hara is terrible.
Okay, I've never watched the movie. I have no idea. I've never invested 6 hours of my life on
not
an ancient
much
movie.
good there. It was at the time it was great, and people still love it. And I'm like, maybe we should leave things we treasured in the past because it's not really aligning with our values. It's the values that changed, not the films, but it's us, not them. So,
yeah, that's true. Which is always so hard. I've tried to allow for the values difference a little bit, but then you get it's down to it's our appetite for the pace of the movies. Like older movies tend to be just so much slower, not as much action. They'll spend the longest time focus. Anyways, there's just I think that's my biggest problem with older movies when I try to go back and watch them. I'm just like, it's something about the pacing, also the acting style, which I think now we're in that era. Like at first, movies were much more like overacting. I would almost say like, like if you were crying, it was, it's like very like dramatic. And even the way you spoke was, something cultured and, whatever.
We should bring that back.
Well, yeah, yes and
I'd
no.
like a number
and then
one
I think
combo.
I think we're in the age of like more hyper realism. Is a little bit more the style we're into. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I struggle with the older ones too sometimes. I'm kind of like you. Like, give me the newer stuff for the most part, I guess. Yeah. But I will say this. I don't know how old. People ask me what my all-time favorite show is. The greatest TV show ever done, in my opinion, is The Wire. And that...
Unfamiliar.
Yeah.
Cop, investigator?
The Wire is a kind of like, I think it was actually an investigative reporter in Baltimore who wrote a fictional story that was definitely mirrored a lot of real life stuff. And over the course of 5 seasons, takes you from the gangster's point of view, the police's point of view, the government, the local Baltimore city government point of view, and then also I think in one of them there's like the Teamsters or what am I thinking of, the guys who work the docks, the union Teamster dudes. Anyways, so there's characters that kind of roll through all of them. It is HBO did it. It's just like, anyways, but that's one of those shows that is so good. I believe it will like 100 years from now, I think you could watch that show and still be like, dadgummit, that's an insanely good show. I think so.
What a good sell. I'm going to
watch
it.
I'm not even saying you should watch it. It is. There's nothing pleasant about it. It's like, it's
Never
a hard
mind,
watch.
I am not going
Yeah, it's
to
a hard
watch
watch. It's violent. It's gritty. The first, like, my brother told me to watch it, and I remember years ago on my first watch through it, because I'm going through it now a second time, and he told me, like, in the first season, you need to, like, bear with, like, I don't remember if it was the first 5 or 6 episodes. He's like, it's a hard watch. Like, you're not going to like the characters. And I hated the characters in the first 5 or 6 episodes. I was like, they could all die, and I would be totally fine with that. I didn't care about any of them. I didn't understand the gangsters yet. They weren't really humanized to me yet. Gosh, now though, going through it the second time, I'm just like so appreciative of the realism of it. And considering when it was done, it was shot, you almost would have thought back then it was like a documentary because it's just shot that realistic. Anyways, it's great. Fantastic show.
I'm
Anyways,
very
that's
confused
one that holds up.
about whether I should watch it or not. But
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know if you're into like gritty.
Not.
Yeah, then it's not your. Don't do it.
Despite the historical significance of this, well done.
It's incredible. Okay. By the way, little factoid. I thought this was super cool. I used to listen a little bit more to Dallas Jenkins, the producer, director, of The Chosen, and there's in one of the seasons, maybe season 2 of The Chosen, there's the famous scene with Jesus and Nicodemus.
Yes.
Right, kind of on the rooftop, and it's very poignant, it's powerful. Like, I know, like the first time I saw it, I got emotional. It's like really done well.
Yeah.
Anyways, Jenkins talked about all the different movies, all the different shows that have influenced him down through the years to help him be able to create like these powerful moments. And he went on about how The Wire helped inform him for that scene, and how. And he said, I think he said the same thing, like how great The Wire is. Just from a purely, like, if you're just looking
production standpoint. Okay.
Yeah, all of it. The writing, the acting is insane. Like back, and I'll shut up. I'm going to almost match your energy with Taylor Swift in this show. But there's like one character is Bubbles, and he is a street, kind of like homeless, basically homeless dude who's a drug addict.
Okay.
And the guy who plays that, you would bet all of your money that he is absolutely that guy. I mean, this actor's ability to play Bubbles, and then he does sort of clean up towards the end, but it's like when he's in the pit of it and he's a junkie and he's living on the street, staggering around, I just like the authenticity of the characters. Oh my God, yeah. There's one gangster who he's a gay gangster who doesn't actually sell drugs. He steals drugs and drug money from other drug lords.
Robin Hood.
Essentially. And he, in real life, the actor, I can't remember his name, but I think he's dead now. He may have passed away, but he has this like scar that runs from the top of his head down his nose to his cheek. And he just plays this gangster, this ruthless gay gangster guy who hunts other gangsters. I mean, just the level. Oh, anyways, I will shut up.
Not a paid advertisement.
Not a paid advertisement, but yeah, if you want gritty, hardcore, best show ever, and you've not seen The Wire, do it.
Hello, lovely friends. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. And it would mean the world if you would tell other people about this podcast and maybe even spam your social media accounts with just how much you're enjoying it. If you are, of course. Also, commenting and rating us on whatever platform you're downloading or streaming from is incredibly helpful to a little startup podcast like this one. On the other hand, if you are dissatisfied with your listening experience, please leave all of that hate on someone else's podcast. Just maybe to confuse them a little bit, right? But most of all, we hope you keep looking up and looking for the sunny side of life.